not calling names, but somebody said that Haiti had brought all of this on themselves because they'd sold out to the devil. I bet that really made those folks feel good to find out that they were at fault for what happened. You know, God does a lot of stuff to show us how mighty He is. But He sent His Son here to die for our sins, to save us. And I kind of think that things like the wrath that He did to Sodom and Gomorrah, and I feel like that the wrath of the flood was things that He sent His Son so He didn't have to do except for an absolute last resort. I think He sent a real message of love. He said, now, when I find out I can't do any better, then I'm going to pour my wrath out. And one day, He's going to pour more wrath out on this world than anybody ever thought possible. Right now, I believe He wants a message of love tonight. How many's ever heard a Bible called God's love letter? I was surprised at how many times that I heard that term used when I started looking up the term love. Do you know that in the King James Bible, just the word love, that little 4-letter word, is used 341 times? No, I didn't count. I have cheated. I used e-sword. But 341 times. I just wonder how long it would take to go through there and find all those. It's a lot of verses. One of the most important things that we hear of as love was John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He sent His one and only Son. Then Jesus said in John 15 and verse 9, as the Father loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. Then again Jesus said in John 15 and verse 12, He said, love each other as I loved you. Now, when those three verses come together, that establishes not only a message of love, but it gives us a chain of love. How it's supposed to happen, from God to the Son, and from the Son to us. So we get older, and the little things that hurt, the little boo-boos that Mama used to be able to kiss her finger, Mom, I mashed my finger. Those kind of things are more disappearing. Because if you went to Mom now, she'd say, honey, you on your own? You know? And there's some that don't have a mother to even go to get that kiss. Then there's those emotional hurts that, I don't care how old you get, somebody's going to say something that's going to make you feel really bad. Somebody's going to put out that thing that says, well, I knew sooner or later that was going to happen. You didn't need to hear that. You knew you messed up. You know? The one I really hate to hear is when they say, oh, it's a punishment from God. Well, I kind of feel like we have to be judge and jury to decipher that out and feel that God's made that decision or made that punishment. I don't have the knowledge that would let me know exactly what God's thinking, that I could feel that that was a punishment. But the one thing that Jesus has done, He's shown us all the way through, you know, a divine devotion of His love. And why can't we follow up with the same? Paul described the characteristics of love in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and 4 through 7. And when I do a wedding, I use these verses a lot because I think they say a lot. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It's not rude. It's not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in the evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always preserves. Now, these are some characteristics of the true meaning of love. Could you imagine if you could box all those up, and every love letter that you send out to somebody, that you can touch them with those words and those characteristics? What a wonderful world we'd be living in. It's bound to make a difference. You know, without love in our heart, love gets pretty self-centered, or we get pretty self-centered. How many knows who the smartest, the most wise person in the whole world was? The Bible tells us that King Solomon, you know, he was a wise, wise man. The Bible says he's one of the smartest men that ever lived. He kind of messed up because he used all of the intelligence, all the wisdom that he had. And what did he do? He used it to enrich himself, make Israel a bigger nation, but he forgot all about sharing God's love. If he had spent his energy and his knowledge, where would God's love be now? What would the world be like if the whole country had turned to God, been sharing in his love? Here's something I want you to think about. How many times have you said something to somebody that really hurt? And you knew good and well it hurt. And then how many times did you say something to somebody that was real kind and nice? Now you can think back on it and know the difference in how it felt. It felt a whole lot better to say something nice than to say something ugly. That's what a message of love is all about. We aren't to be putting any limits on love. Gee whiz, we won't run out of it. You know. Luke 6:35 tells us, but love your enemies and do good and lend and hoping for nothing, because your reward will be great. Today, try a message of love. You might just be surprised. When you sit out there and you don't put a condition on love, you'd be surprised what comes back to you. God's going to bless you. You're going to find people treat you different. Everybody in here knows. It's the ones that, you know, people that you just hate. Okay, here comes so-and-so. And you want to just walk off before they show up. We talked last Sunday, talked about the lady. Remember about the guy in the casket? He was so mean on him, nobody could say anything nice to him. And she come over and looked, and everybody waited for her to say something nice, and said he could whistle. He was a good whistler. We can find something good to say everybody. We can give a message of unconditional love. Try telling somebody what Jesus did for you if you're going to really give a message of love. Tonight, we've got